Hey, hi guys, good afternoon. So my name is Vikas and I work as a senior cloud architect in one of the big four companies here in Bangalore. I have overall 12 years of IT experience where I've worked on various cloud technologies like GCP, AWS, and Azure. I have a good expertise on DevOps tools like Jenkins, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, good experience on Python, and a little bit experience on Java. Let's get started. So we are talking about Linux commands which will be used for DevOps. Now, when we talk about Linux, so today in this agenda or today in this session, we will be talking about Linux. Why Linux? What are the commands, few common commands which will be Unix using in Linux? What is shell scripting? What is Git? What is a little bit hands-on on all these things. Now, where we start. So we start with the first topic. We talk about Linux. Now, why Linux? Everybody, whenever you say, I want to learn DevOps, I want to learn this, they will say, first learn Linux. So why Linux? So to understand this, I will take you here. So it says Linux kernel is the world's most used OS. When judged by the use, it has 41% of the global market. It means if 100 companies are using servers, they are mostly using Linux servers, 41% of them. So obviously there is a high chance that you will be dealing with these machines and you will have to go ahead and fix them. So we need to know Linux. Now, when I started my career, I had a big confusion between Linux and Unix. Now, Linux and Unix, to me, I will say they are the same thing, okay? But the only difference is Linux is a freeware, open source, and Unix is a paid version, okay? At the end of the day, both are same. Yes, they were developed by two different organizations altogether, but the way it works, same. Okay, so now we talk about Linux. So when we talk about Linux, I showed you that almost 41% of the companies are using Linux. Okay, you have Mac, you have Windows, but still 41% people are using Linux when it comes to server. Why? The answer is first, it is open source, means it is free of cost. You don't have to go and do anything to get started. It has community of developers. There are many people who can help you when you are stuck somewhere, and it allows multiple users to log in at the same time on a Windows machine or on a Mac machine. If you want, at a given point of time, only one user can log in, but on Windows multiple users can log in at the same time. Not only that, you will see other benefits like it is free, open source, highly secure, stability and performance. So when I'm running a server, I am more concerned about security. I am more concerned about the performance and less on the UI part. So these features are very much fulfilled by my Linux. Okay. So whenever you talk about servers, most of them will prefer Linux. Now, Linux is something which started somewhere around 1990s. Just to give a brief of what is Linux, so it says Linux is a Unix-like open source and community-based operating system for which it is capable of handling activities of multiple users at the same time. So let me give you a little bit brief about this Linux. Where did it started from? What happened? So long back when we started our IT world, okay, at that time, today if you go to market, you say this is hard disk, HDD, and you say this is RAM. Okay, so RAM and hard disk, they are two independent components and can work independently together because my operating system treats them as different. But initially, my operating system did not treat them separately, means both were integrated as a same single unit. So failure in one also caused the failure on second one. So we had lot of problems in making changes, fixing the failures and all those things. So people started working on an operating system, okay, which will help me to treat hard disk as a hard disk and RAM as a RAM. So they were, or initially they were working on a project called Multics. So it was funded by your AT&T, Bell Labs, your big giants at that time. So all those people were funding it, but somehow it did not work. So they scrapped the project. But in 1990s somewhere, Dennis Ritchie and there was Linus Torvalds. So Dennis Ritchie only, he went ahead and he was able to crack it, and he came up with 1991 around, he came up with Unix. Okay, but some year later, there was another guy, Linus Torvalds. Just see the spelling of this, Torvalds. So he came up with Unix, and he made it free of cost. Because he gave everyone free of cost, nobody complained, and it was an exact replica of Linux. But nobody was able to prove that it is a copyright issue or somebody has copied the content. So nothing happened, and people happily started using Linux. And then it's a story. And after that, people saw huge benefit and they started working on that. Now, when I talk about benefits, I've just now listed down that that it is open source and all those things are there. So on top of that, we have one more very good feature which comes with Linux. Linux has a wide distribution of, or a wide varieties of Linux operating systems. Like in Windows, you have Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, like that. In Linux, you have a large variety. So to practice that, you need a Linux machine. It can be on cloud or it can be anywhere. So I'll go to my cloud machine. I have it, the Linux thing installed on my cloud environment. So this is AWS cloud for me. So I'll come down here and I'll come here and see if any instance is running. So I have one instance which is running here. I'll just bring it up. It is actually in stopped state right now. I'll just bring it up. But before going there, I want to show you that there are wide varieties of Linux OS available. See here, there is Amazon Linux. If you want, you can, you can go for Ubuntu, Ubuntu. So you see here, Ubuntu 20.04 is there. Ubuntu 18.04 is there. If you're looking for Debian, so there is a wide variety for Debian. If you're looking for Red Hat, you get Red Hat. So like this, there is lots and lots of flavors to Unix. Whichever suits you, you get started with that. Okay. More or less, the commands will remain as it is, but little bit it may vary. When we start with our machine, so this is my machine which is running. So to connect to this machine, I will need a tool like PuTTY. Obviously, when you join the class, everything will be covered. So here, my default username is ec2-user @ and whatever IP address you got here. So I got one IP address here. I'll take this. I need the password. So I already have that. This is my password. And I'll make the appearance or the font size a little bit bigger. So if you see here, I logged in as ec2-user and I used this as my key. So it is saying I've logged you to Amazon Linux machine. So when you work on a Linux environment, it gives you a black and white screen like this. Okay. So currently I'm logged in as an ec2-user. I want to know which folder I am in. So it is pwd, present working directory. Now if I want to create a folder, I say mkdir. So here we don't say it's a folder, we say it's a directory. So we say mkdir, give a name. So let me say dir1. Okay, now I want to see it, ls-l. So I can see this directory here, dir1. I want to go inside, cd, change directory and go inside. Now if you say pwd, you will see you are inside home, inside ec2-user, inside dir1. Okay, and now if you say, I want to come one step back, you say cd ... So if you see here, there are a lot of commands which I'm using, but I don't, let me say I don't remember these commands. So I'll say �HIS-KORY. So I'll give history and I will come to know what all commands I've used here. Okay, so I started here, pwd, then I make a directory. So these are from my previous sessions, so you can just ignore these. This is how I have started right now. I started with pwd, I created a directory, I listed it, then I went inside, came out, and I'm doing the history. Now, if you want to delete this folder, so you say rm-rf, or even if you say rmdir. Rmdir means remove the directory, minus r means I want to remove everything which is there in the directory. Come here and paste it like this. Or you can come here and say, hold on. rmdir. Now if you come back and see, it is case sensitive. So now if you come back and see, it is deleted. Now, as an EC2 user, I'll clear the screen. Now, as an EC2 user, I may have certain access. I may not have certain access. So I'll upgrade myself as root user. So I say sudo su hyphen. Sudo means give me root privilege. Su means switch user. Hyphen means go and take me to root directory. So if you see here, from EC2 user, I'm logged into root user. And as a root user, I can do many things. Like I can install a software. Yum install. Let me say I want to install git -y. So what it will do, it will connect itself to the internet and it will go ahead and install that. So it is already installed for me. So it is saying nothing to do. Now if I come here and say git -- version, I will be able to see that git is installed for me. So there are many commands which you will be using in the course of action, like sudo clear, who am I will tell you which user has logged in. You can say who am I. Okay, it will say you are a root user. Now if you want to create a file, last time I created a folder, I create a file. So the very easy command can be touch and file name. So file1. But if I do ls-l, I will see the file, but it is 0 bytes. Nothing is there. 0 is there. So I want to enter something. So I'll say nano and inside the file. Now here I'll say this is a sample file. Control X, Y, enter. So I have made some changes. I want to view the content, just view. I don't want to edit. Cat. So there are a list of commands. Now you will say, where will I learn all these commands? So on internet, you can go and say top 100 Linux or Unix commands. You will get a set of commands. You can get started from here. As a Linux operator or as a Linux guy, there is no limitation to the commands. The commands can be infinite. Trust me, it can be infinite. So I come here, and the best way to get started is come here and say Linux cheat sheet. And here you can go to images. Here you will see a lot of cheat sheets available. You can pick any one of them, Okay, take a printout of that and start using them. It can be a small one like this. It can be a big one like this. You can take any cheat sheet as per your requirement and you can get started. The basic thing is get started, because nobody can teach Linux or Unix, because that is a vast thing. Moreover, we don't want to make you a Linux administrator. We want you to tell the basics of Linux and move ahead. Okay. So there are lots and lots of commands like cp, mv, grep. Then you have chmod, tar, locate, find, cron. So there are lots and lots of jobs. History, tail, passwd, free, ssh. So these commands are infinite and it will not be easy for me to go ahead and take over everything. Now, why should I do shell scripting? I am running the shell commands. Why should I do shell scripting? Now, many a times it may happen that you need to implement a logic. And obviously that logic cannot be implemented if you are working with shell commands. One by one, you're writing the commands. So what is expected from you is that you, wait a second. So shell scripting is something, a repetitive task. You are doing every day the same task. So every day you run the same set of jobs one by one, rather than you put them everything in one script and run them as a script. First activity. Second, if you want to implement some kind of a logic, go ahead and write a shell script. So I'll just go ahead and write a shell script in front of you, and then we will try to execute that shell script. So again, I'll come here, ls-l. Let me say, I will say mkdir, and I will say sample script. So if I come inside this sample script, ls-l, I will be able to see total 0, means as of now nothing is there. So I'll create a script here. So I'll say nano and I will say script script.sh. So I'll write a script. Now, when you write a script, the most important thing is this line, hash colon bin bash. So this is known as bin bash, or it is also known as shebang. Now this line tells the compiler that the code which is going to come is a Linux code, and you need to run this code for Linux environment. Okay, so I have a code here. I will take this code and I'll explain you. So first let me come here to language and make it as shell. Now if you see here, there is a word called echo. Echo is nothing but print. So it says echo enter username. So the username will be printed. Okay, or this enter username text will be printed. Then whatever I will key or whatever I will write, that will be taken as username. Then it will come here and say enter password. So whatever I put here will be taken as password. Then it will go and evaluate if the username is admin and the password is secret. Then it will say a valid user, or it will say an invalid user to me. So this is a conditional operation here. If fi, if else fi. So here if you see, I'm trying to implement a logic. Okay, so let me take this piece of code and try to execute it. Okay, control X, Y, enter. So I can see my script ls-l script.sh, and it is 197 KB. Now if I have to execute it, the way to execute is /script.sh. But if I do like this /script.sh, it will not execute. It will throw me an error, permission denied. Why? Because here if you see, it is only read write. It has read write permission. So I need to give them the permission. chmod means change permission. chmod plus x means give execute permission to this guy. Now if you see here ls-l, you will see the color has changed, and here it is rwx. X means execute. Okay, so this is the script. Execute it. Now it is running and it is saying enter the username. So I'll say Vikas. Enter password. Pass123. I got invalid user because it did not meet the expectation. This time I again run it. Enter username. Admin. Enter password. Secret. Yes, this time the condition matched and it is giving me a valid user output. So this is how you go ahead and write a script. It will have a set of statements which you can run as per your requirement. It can be run once, twice, thrice, 100 times, whatever you want, you can go ahead and run it. What is 𝐂𝐝𝐻𝑜UST? I don't know anything like that. Echo is there, ECHO, it's a print command. Okay, so echo is simple print command where you can go ahead and print the content which you want to print. Okay, I'll again open it for questions. If you have any questions, you can go ahead, and then I will move ahead with the next topic here. So when I say scripting, it is not only shell scripting, which is the one scripting, but shell scripting is broadly divided into various kinds of scripting. So let me show you that also. Okay, so shell is nothing but it will take the input from the user and it will go ahead and translate that command into machine readable code, and then it will give you the output. Okay, so when I talk about shell scripting, there are shells like Bone shell, which we just now saw. Then there is C shell. Okay, so Bone shell is something which is very commonly used, which we saw just now. Apart from that, if you talk about scripting, Python has a good scripting, YAML has scripting, but if you talk about personal preference of mine, I will prefer Python scripting because Python scripting is much easier as compared to Linux. So just remember, Linux is a technology which came somewhere around 1990s. So it has the commands, but the commands are a little bit tricky to remember. Unless and until you practice them, you cannot remember them. Okay. So I will be writing a shell script, which I have written just now, and I want to show you that if I write a shell script, I can do many activities in a systematic manner. Now, why should one choose Edureka? So Edureka gives you a systematic way of learning where each module will be followed by a proper hands-on session. So we teach you what is DevOps. Here we teach you what is Linux, how Linux, Unix is different, what are the commonly used Linux commands. So primarily what you are doing right now, but again, it's a detailed one. So now we are having 3 hours, a 1 hour session. But when we start with this module, we have some 3 hour sessions. So it's a detailed one. Then we talk about Git, we talk about Git, Jenkins, Maven, continuous integration. We talk about configuration management using Ansible, Prometheus, Grafana for monitoring, containerization using Docker, orchestration using Kubernetes. And finally, we also talk about, so point number 9 is Terraform. So it should be here. So we talk about infrastructure as a code, which is Terraform. And then if you learn all these in a systematic manner, you end up to be a full-fledged DevOps engineer. And needless to say that DevOps engineers are paid like anything today in the current market. There are a lot of opportunities for DevOps engineers. Okay, fine guys, then we'll drop now and we see you in the class. Then happy learning guys. Bye bye.